Welcome to the England Rugby Pod. Thanks for downloading episode 92. Dylan Hartley returns to the England fold as Sam Warburton retires, and Dan names his team for the Autumn Internationals. You're listening to the England Rugby Pod, the rugby podcast that believes England will win the World Cup in 2019. Hey guys, welcome back. Another short hiatus. I want to say that it's because we felt that you needed more time off, but actually it was just that our diaries just didn't match up, and we were unable to find time to get together and record something. But we're here now, and of course that means that I'm joined by Dan. Hi, mate.
My body's not going to tan itself, mate. So I need these times to fit in my sun time. How are you?
I've seen you. Have you been on holiday?
Well, no, I am just naturally that Adonis bronze.
Okay, are you colourblind? Anyway, I'm good. I'm good, mate. Yeah, I guess because we've left it a little while, there's a few things have crept up on us. There's a few bits to talk about. So I feel like we've got a pretty full schedule of things to discuss today.
Cool.
As we're starting to do now, because thanks to you guys, we're getting more and more feedback from you. I'm just going to read out a few reviews before we get started. Fortunately, this week we're looking at 3 5-star reviews. So the first one, he titles it, "It's like chatting England rugby with your mates." Well, that's the idea. He says, "Love the pod. It's like being down the pub chatting rugby with your mates, the ones that know a little bit less than you." Winky face. Hopelessly optimistic at times, as every England rugby fan should be. Often insightful, but occasionally ill-informed, again, as all of us normal fans are, and not afraid to put it out there. Suitable levels of banter between Andy and Dan make it thoroughly enjoyable. Keep it up, boys. So thank you for that.
Who's that from?
Well, Berry-M, he calls himself. So
Berry-M. Cool. Well, thanks very much, mate.
What you will.
Do you know what? I think that's probably about as spot on as you can get a lot of the time.
Well,
and
certainly,
you know
he gets what we've been trying to sell here, which is that this is just meant to be us having a bit of a laugh and kind of having the sort of chat that we were having, in fact, before we started doing this, and just sort of sharing it with other people.
Exactly, and I love it. I love a good winky face. It always it reminds me of like a message from my missus that's just like, "My God, could you be any more useless? You're a complete piece of shit." Winky face. Now everything's all right, and it doesn't matter anymore. But I do love a good winky face in there.
Good. So next up, we got Work Dies. I'm not sure what the relevance is. That's the title of his review. Work Dies. This is from Tippy Face, who says, "I love you boys. I feel like you two give great views on the England team and provide me with a much needed Red Rose fix. Two guys who obviously love their rugby and want to share their passion with other England fans. I would like to get your view on the upcoming autumn, whether or not we can topple the mighty Irish and win the Six Nations. And also, I'd like to know if you still feel that we can win the World Cup. Also, Elliot Daly, Anthony Watson or Mike Brown at fullback, Cipriani or Ford at 10. And he says, for me, it would be Brown at the back for his experience and Cipriani simply because he's the most exciting fly half we've seen in decades and can make something out of nothing, which I feel we need if we're going to win the World Cup. Keep up the good work, boys. Swing low."
Awesome. That's a great one. Are we going to address the questions then?
We will. I think we'll leave it for now because I think some of that's going to get answered a little bit later on, because of course in our last episode we went through my team if we were going to be playing tomorrow, and it was our Autumn International team, wasn't it? So we're doing yours later on today, so we're probably going to cover a lot of that at that point, and I suspect when you start talking about who you want to select, that will give us an opportunity then to talk about the other options, of which he's listed a few. So let's come back to that. But great questions. Thanks for asking them. And we will do our best to answer those for you. And then finally, we have fantastic 5 stars from the Review Sloth, who says, "Just got into watching rugby over the last few years, and this pod has been a great way of educating me about the mighty England. Just great to listen to 2 honest blokes after a long day. Keep up the good work, lads." Short and sweet. So thank you, the Review Sloth. Much appreciated. So 3 great reviews there. pretty happy with those.
Yeah, but yeah, really enjoyed them, and I think they're three very fair reviews as well.
Absolutely.
I mean, I would say they're very fair about the sort of the good stuff, but I think Berry-M when he said things like,
I nailed it.
Sometimes ill-informed. Yeah, we are.
Sometimes not informed at all, simply making stuff
up. Exactly. Yeah.
Okay, well, let's crack on with the episode, and I want to start with the most recent news. Don't know if you've had a chance to see this yet, but Dylan Hartley returns to the England setup this weekend for the training camp in Teddington.
I literally have not seen that at all. Has that literally just been announced?
Yeah, I would imagine in the last hour or so. So yeah, that's how breaking the news is here, people.
So that's great. I must admit, I was genuinely worried that Dylan Hartley was potentially a career ending.
So yeah, he's been back training with the Saints.
Okay.
And then there's an England 3-day training camp this weekend in Teddington. It's not going to be massively intense, so I guess we don't know yet.
That's the next thing. For the love of God, Eddie, please don't put them in a live firing exercise.
No, I think it's predominantly sort of fitness and kind of meetings to discuss, what lies ahead and. Yeah, just a lot of that kind of stuff, but it's the first kind of get together, and obviously Dylan Hartley's there, which is important because he obviously he's training back with his club, he's back with the England setup, so he's obviously not retired, which is great. I think great news for England because of course for me he's back in my team, so we'll see what comes of that, but for the Hartley fans out there, that's good news. For those that want to see the back of him. Possibly that's not going to happen. But it probably leads on nicely to the next point that we want to discuss, which is, of course, Sam Warburton's retirement, which is down to injury.
Yeah, and that's, I mean, as the England Rugby pod, we wouldn't normally necessarily deal with a retirement of a sort of international from another country, but I think Sam Warburton, not just because of what he's done with the Lions, but because of what he's done with the game, he definitely deserves the airtime, I think.
He's been a big part of English rugby for a long time.
But he's certainly given us some lows along the way. Do you know what? Sam Warburton is an absolute legend of the game. I truly think as the years go by, his legend will grow. I want to hate everything about Welsh rugby just because of the competition, but I love Sam Warburton. I think the guy's an absolute hero of the game, on and off the pitch. His retirement's sad, and that maybe lead on to some of her sort of tackle stuff that maybe we'll sort of cover in a bit. But I've heard people say that, will he be remembered as a true great because domestically he didn't do much? But yeah, I think he will. I think he's won 3 Grand Slams with Wales. I could be wrong here. Certainly 2. An unbeaten
but
Lions.
We could equally say 5 or 9 or 1 or 7.
Yeah, exactly.
Because that's the beauty of what we're doing here. We can just make stuff up, but we try not to.
But his Lions, an unbeaten Lions captain, winning tour in Australia, a drawn tour in New Zealand, which is, a hell of an achievement.
Yep.
I don my cap to you, Mr. Warburton. Fantastic career and a great player. And from what I've seen of him on TV, I can't say I know him, but he comes across as a great bloke as well.
No, well, it looks like he's already signed a deal with the BBC or Sky, or I can't remember who it was, but he was doing a lot of punditry, so I'm sure we'll be seeing a lot of him. They always like to have someone, a Welsh representative, to come on and I guess to try and offset the balance. Because pretty much the BBC only talks about England, which is great for us.
Yeah. But, so in the last 20 years, can you think of a Welsh player who will be remembered? Last 20. Let's even say last 30 years. Can you think of a Welsh player who will be remembered in as high regard as him?
I mean, there are going to be players that people will immediately think of if you say Welsh rugby in the last 30 years. Neil Jenkins. Who was it that? Which is a bad example because I can't think of his name. Who was it that our mate married?
Scotty Gibbs. Scotty Fatty Gibbs. So yeah, I mean,
and obviously, you've got Jonathan Davies, who's on our screens constantly as well. We're looking to replace him, basically, aren't we?
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean,
not necessarily tomorrow, but you need to bring in the next Welshman that's going to be, giving his opinions. Anyway, yeah, I suspect we'll see a lot more of Sam Warburton. This is certainly not the end; it's just the end of his playing days. But I could see him going into coaching.
Oh yeah, I
have no idea if that's something
got as many options as he wants now. Yeah.
Okay, well, let's move away from Welsh rugby. And just quickly, I know it's not England rugby, but just quickly, did you read about Ashley Johnson, the Wasps player, who got a ban for failing a drugs test?
Yeah, I have mixed thoughts on this, but
for anyone that doesn't, so anyone doesn't know, so basically he failed a drug test back in February, and they've just issued him with a backdated ban. 6-month ban. Now, basically, he failed the drug test because they found something called hydrochlorothiazide. Can't tell you what it is or what it does, but it was in...
Hell of a pronunciation. Well done, mate.
Thanks. But it was in... it turns out it was in a diet pill belonging to his wife that he took by accident. Whether you believe by accident or not, the bit that I kind of have take a slight issue with is that this drug, which is on, obviously, the banned list, doesn't appear in the ingredients on the side of the bottle for the tablet that he took. But it was tested and they found the drug inside it, and they've kind of said, well, that it's the player's responsibility to know what they're putting in their body, which I get, but where do you draw the line? Because surely these guys can't be thinking, it was meant to be chicken and beans tonight, but I just need to run them through a quick test in case there's any anything snuck in there that's on the banned list. I mean, that's obviously a silly example, but do you know what I mean? Surely you've got to be saying it wasn't in the ingredients, so he bought it thinking that it was okay to use, and it turns out that actually when we ran a test, it should have been on the ingredients because it's there.
So from my point of view, I think there's a few things here, and I think, and this I 100% believe, I genuinely don't believe there was any intention whatsoever for him to be cheating.
He just wanted to lose a few pounds.
Yeah, but the thing is, he's actually on fat stripping pills. He's allowed to take some, but from what I understand, and from what I've read, I believe this to be true. He took one of his wives and said one of his own, and the fat stripping pills he's taking are slightly different to ones his wife's taking. There was a mix-up. Either way, regardless, mate, I 100% agree with you. It's not fair. There has to be a line. But then on the flip side, the problem with it is so many people previously have just pushed to the line and just abused the system.
Yeah, but I mean that's
in some ways.
Unfortunately, that's professional sport. Yeah. There are naturally occurring drugs that you can buy as supplements in order to boost the amount of them in your body that are considered okay, and there are naturally occurring ones and unnaturally occurring ones that you can take that are on banned lists, and those lists are constantly being updated. They're constantly being changed. So, there might be something that's perfectly okay that someone's taking, and then all of a sudden they say the rules have changed this season, that's now banned, so you've got to change it. So I'm like, okay, fair enough. So as long as the guys are kind of strict about sticking to the rules. But I think there comes a point where you have to say, well, hold on a second, common sense has to prevail when he's taking a commercially available product that doesn't say that it contains this particular thing, this particular drug, or it's not even a drug, it's a, whatever it is, substance or whatever. It doesn't say that it has it in it, and he's taking it, and it turns out it does have it in, and so he has to be given a ban because he should have known, or how should he have known? I mean, I get that it's easy to say, well, he could have sent it off for testing beforehand, but should
you can't do that with everything.
Yeah, well, exactly. That's what I mean. Where do you draw the line? So anyway, I mean, look, it's interesting that he's been given a ban that effectively doesn't affect him at all because it's a ban that has effectively been served, even though he wasn't serving it. So yes, maybe that's the reason why they've done this. But then why not just say, do you know what? Actually, yeah, common sense needs to prevail here. We're not going to give him a ban at all because that ban's still on his record. I don't know. Just for me, it was a bit bizarre and a bit of a cop out, really, to sort of go, let's save ourselves the hassle. Let's say he got a ban, but let's just say he's already served it and let's move on. Instead of saying, no, this is crazy. This is not what the system is about. I don't know. Maybe people will massively disagree and just say, any substance abuse, regardless, is that's the risk you take when you choose to take substances.
Where I am slightly wary about this is due to the nature of our sport, due to the nature of the sport we love. Rugby's such a physical game, and I am not in any way suggesting this is at all relevant to this point because it's completely not. But if somebody is using a substance to gain physical advantage, they can cause damage with that. It's not like long distance running where you might win a race. I mean, they can cause somebody physical damage, potentially. And this is...
It kind of depends what we're talking about,
could potentially cause someone death if they gain that physical advantage by a drug. So I'm not saying this is the case in this one, but I think that's why the rules, like the drug rules in the likes of rugby, like the likes of boxing or something, have to be so strict because of potential consequences of people abusing them.
Okay, well, I'll tell you what, then I've got a question for you. Obviously, we're not muted by rules and, we're not... We do this just because we want to and we can say whatever we want. So I'm sure there'll be people that will have an issue with it. But take the 100 metres sprint.
Yeah.
The idea of the 100 metres is to find the fastest man or woman on Earth, but, since the men go quicker, the fastest human being. Yeah? Wouldn't you like to know how fast a human being can run, regardless of what they might be taking?
Yeah, God, yeah.
That only works if they take supplements. If we know, right, that Usain Bolt can run it in 9.52 or whatever the world record is, without any kind of substances to help him, but we also know that other people have run the fastest times that they've ever run with the aid of substances. Don't we want to pump him full of something and say, go on, let's see if you can run any quicker?
So honestly, yeah, I'd like there to be an official one, which is the one which is completely clear and free.
But you need the same people to do both.
Out of human interest, I would like there to be one where it can be like, you roid yourself to a match. If you're dumb enough to do it, you go for it, and let's see what you can run. And then somebody running in 4.1 seconds or something and being like, all right, mate, you've gone too far. But, at least you've done.
You've set a record that will never be broken. But yeah, I get what you're saying about substance abuse, but it works. There are other ways too. I mean, there are substances that you can take for recovery rather than to make yourself big. We're not just talking about steroids to get pumped and get bigger, like some of the ridiculous people you see at the gym. We're talking about substances that are designed to simply improve fitness or speed up recovery is a big one, isn't it?
Is that mainly what a steroid is? Just to help you recover so you can train harder and longer?
I mean, if we're going to call it...
Why are we questioning ourselves on doctoral facts when we have...
Because we're doctors.
Okay.
If we're going to say that, though... does that mean that the steroid is making someone too big or too strong and giving them an advantage, or is it simply saying that it's giving them the ability to get themselves as fit and healthy and prepared as possible to reduce their chances of getting injured?
That big or strong without the steroid.
Anyway,
that's key. Yeah.
Anyway, okay, well, let's move on to a slightly lighter note. Well, I don't know if lighter is the right word.
I'm glad we've caused as much controversy as we can there.
It's always good. Good. Another retirement, this one from the England ladies. Rochelle Clark, most capped England player, men or women, of all time, 137 caps. She's just retired. So I'm not going to spend ages talking about her career or anything. We maybe we'll do something on that later on, but I think just a mention because, what an achievement.
Rocky Clark, what a legend, an absolute legend of the game, an absolute legend of English rugby. Congratulations on a great career. I believe she's still playing in the sort of Tyrrell's women's 15s, sort of a women's premiership rugby. So, an absolute legend of the game. Congratulations on a great career.
Thank you very much. Oh, her, sorry.
Yeah, you too, mate. You too.
Okay. Eddie's been back in with the RFU, back having talks. Well, with the the RFU.
I assume this is. I'm not sure. Is this back having talks, or is this still the ongoing continuation of post South Africa talk?
I mean, maybe it's the outcome of the talks that we obviously discussed in the last episode when it was supposedly a big deal that he was going to talk to them, and we obviously said, well, of course he's going to go and talk to them. They've just been on tour. He's going to do a debrief. But this is more, this is about the outcome of those discussions and how, as we suspected, they're backing him. Of course, they're backing him. What else are they going to do at this stage? He still, has the best. England still has its best ever win streak under him, and it was only 18 months ago or whatever it was. So, you don't just chuck him out and go, nah. He was the best we've ever had, but then suddenly he had a bad run of 6 games. So let's get him out of here. So he's obviously staying put. They've given him their backing, but I just wanted to talk about this idea that he's been given a bit of a sort of scolding and a talking to about the way he talks to fans. Like his behaviour.
Was that just it, or was it behaviour as a whole, including media, or was it just the fan side?
Well, I mean, reading the article, and obviously all of these things is down to how they write them, because maybe they've implied something different. But I got the impression that it was specifically aiming at the way he is with people and using the 2 incidents with the fans as a big part of it. And I want to come to his defence, because I think, particularly the Scottish one, where
it's pathetic to
we've seen the video evidence. The guy is at the station, and you see him being accosted. He doesn't even speak to them. He tries to do an interview with them or do a selfie with them, and then they start abusing him. And you can see him, basically a scared old man, trying to get away from them because there's about 4 of them pissed up, abusing him. And all he does is get into his car, probably leaves a little bit shaken up. So to use that as an example of bad behaviour on his part, and
that's pathetic.
If I've misunderstood what the article is suggesting, then fair enough. But when I read it, I just thought, not overly happy about that.
So the only thing about that article, I read the same article, and mate, I completely agree with you, especially that Scottish incident. Like he's the complete victim. Well, how you can mention that as a incident of his behaviour is just weird. There are times where I find his behaviour is probably the wrong word. There are some times where the way about him, as a fan, I would like to be more accommodating, but it's not something that I care enough about for it to be like, that has to change massively. It's just, as a fan, I'd like him to be more open. But
I'd like to be a bit of fly on the wall. Part of me says something's telling me that if and when they said to him, "Oh, we need to talk about your behaviour," he basically told them to fuck off.
Oh, I'd love that.
Because I can't imagine him being like, "Yeah, guys,
go fuck yourself, sport."
That's not what I came here for. I came here to try and lead England to a World Cup victory in 2019. If you don't like the way that I behave, when it's such a minor thing, it'd be slightly different if he was like physically attacking people or something. It almost feels like the RFU, just want to be seen to be like, no, we're still an important part of this too.
Yeah, as far as I'm concerned, if he wins this World Cup, as he's walking
do what he wants
on the doorstep, for all I care.
When he wins us a World Cup.
When he wins us the World Cup, of course. The thing about the article, that's the bit you picked up on, but when, not the shit on the doorstep. But no, I like it. The thing about the article that actually annoyed me a little bit is like, and we're looking at the defence and attack coaches. It's like, we've known about this a while. Why are we not further ahead?
Maybe no one wants the job.
Oh, mate, people want that job, even if it's just for the cash money.
This is probably true.
Maybe it is further ahead than we know, but I just feel like we would have heard about it more if it was a bit further ahead. I want that to happen, and I want that to happen very quickly.
Well, they've said that they want to have both in place for the autumn internationals, but the autumn internationals start like next month.
Well, they don't start in September. But
or the month after that,
or October.
the month after that.
When
do they start?
Certainly this year.
Well, yeah, exactly. Some point in the next couple of months. Anyway, dates are not important right now. This is not a Autumn International special that will be coming. But yeah, we're not far off. We're close enough to
place for this training camp.
Huh?
I'd like them to have been in place for this training camp.
Yeah. Definitely. Well, yeah, exactly. Because what value are they going to add to the Autumn Internationals if they just rock up at the last minute? I mean, maybe that's the advantage of this training camp being probably less physical, less about actually getting out there and working on specifics, and more just about having a run out, getting together as a group, and working out what the plan is going forwards. But nevertheless, yeah, I'd 100%. I would have liked there to have been people in place for this. So I don't really know what the hold up is. I'd like to know more. If anyone does know anything, let us know, and we'll keep scouring the old World Wide Web, see what we can find. Yeah, hopefully there'll be some news on that fairly soon. Because as I say, they want to have someone in place for the Autumn Internationals, which are next week.
Next week, yeah, exactly. It's come around quickly. Actually, I was amazed, and the weather has held so well as well.
I know, it's beautiful, isn't it? Okay. Before we kind of move over to your team selection, which is obviously the main part of our episode today, there was one more email that we got, and I cannot find it anywhere. I've obviously deleted it, which I apologise for. But the trouble is, we get so much mail now.
Oh man,
it's
just a complete fan zone.
Oh mate, sackfuls of the stuff. People still sending them, in the post and emails and all sorts.
Snail mail, yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, so we did get an email from somebody, whoever you are. Get in touch again and let us know. We apologise for not having the details to hand.
It was a great email. Yeah.
It was a great email, and the main question that he asked was, or request was, can we discuss, please? He accepts that Farrell is probably a 12 and so out of the running, but nevertheless he's a world class 10. So Farrell, Cipriani, Ford, 3 world class, international class, whatever you want to call them, fly halves. What is the difference between them, and why do we want the one that we want? Playing 10 for England.
Okay. Do you want to have first swing at the bat?
No, I think I would like to hear your thoughts.
Touche. Okay, so these are my thoughts. For me, George Ford. This is going to be as cliche as it can be. Yes, in attack, he will find the passes. He will control that attack and find that in such a quality form. But to me, he's not yet a good enough all-round 10. Because we are on the back foot sometimes. His defence for me is still not strong enough. I, at the moment, have George Ford out for running. I just think he's not quite solid enough in certain aspects of his game. Certain parts of his game, I think he's the best in the world. Other parts of his game, I don't think are international level.
Best in the world?
I honestly believe that. I honestly believe in attack, he can lead that attack with regards to sort of the passing time of space when we are front foot better than Bowden Barrett. I truly believe that. I'm talking about that specific aspect of it.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. Yeah,
attack. So, whereas someone like Danny Cipriani can find the gaps himself, which George Ford can't. So I'm not saying George Ford's attack is the best in the world. I'm just saying with seeing and understanding where those gaps will come and enabling other people to get through those gaps, I think George Ford is the best in the world, personally.
So he'd probably be very good at like a rugby computer game.
Oh my God. If there was do you remember Championship Manager for football? If there was Championship Manager for rugby, he would absolutely boss it.
FIFA for rugby. Yeah. What was the one we used to play?
Pro Evo. We were Pro Evo boys.
Pro Evo, we were Pro Evo. That just no one really plays that anymore, do they?
Yeah, but if he was still playing Lomu rugby, he would be second to myself and Mounts.
Yeah, really? Okay.
Who are still the two best Lomu rugby players ever.
I think if he's listening, he'll be pretty chuffed to hear that we rate him as a computer playing rugby player.
He was. I think his defence for me is too weak. For me right now, he's out the equation because Danny Cipriani overall in attack, what Danny Cipriani can find that place he plays, he really does, make the defence think twice and then can release. And I think if we've got the likes of a Manu to a Laggy crashing through, you've got a Farrell at 12. I've got Cipriani at 10 because I want Farrell at 12.
So that's fine. We'll come on to your team specifically in a moment, but so I think one of the things this guy wanted us to discuss is, I agree with you. Let's take Ford away for a minute. We've kind of talked about what the biggest kind of positive that he adds, but if we look at Cipriani and Farrell, and let's assume that for the sake of argument, there is a 12 in place, someone else.
Yeah.
Which is probably a bad way of doing it because you probably want Farrell so badly that he gets it on that basis.
Let's say we've cloned Owen Farrell.
Okay, so Owen Farrell 1 is at 12. Yeah, that's probably a good way of looking at it. Yeah, so Owen Farrell's at 12, but he's also available at 10 at the same time, or Cipriani at 10. What is the difference between them?
So the difference between them is, and I'm not going to use this word, but I need to try and think of another word. Just the flair of a Danny Cipriani. I think Danny Cipriani has those moments of sort of mercurial genius that Owen Farrell doesn't quite have.
I mean, overall, I think playing devil's advocate, are those moments that, when they work, are moments of genius, but often they don't work, and so you can be a villain or a hero. They may not work, but I don't think they become a villain moment.
Right. Okay. I don't think they're so sort of risky moments.
Would you say that's experience? Would you say that a Danny Cipriani of 10 years ago was probably still seeing the game in the same sort of way, but back then it was very much villain or hero and no real in between. Whereas now he's kind of he's been around, he's got the experience, he's earned the respect, and so now when he does these things, we almost see them as that was either going to be magic or unlucky. It was a great idea, didn't quite work out. Let's move on.
I think it's it's not. Yes, experience plays part. It's sort of a Carlos Spencer to an Andrew Mertens type scenario. I think Danny Cipriani just has that natural gift. Like, do you remember Carlos Spencer and some of the stuff he could pull off? I think he's more of a Carlos Spencer. Okay. Whereas I think Farrell's more of the Andrew Mertens, who is solid. You need Farrell in the team at somewhere. So if Farrell wasn't, if we hadn't cloned Owen Farrell and put him at 12, I would probably start Farrell with Cipriani on the bench to come on and hope for that moment.
Cipriani is that impact player. But since we can't clone Owen Farrell, as far as we're aware, and therefore we do want to have him on the pitch, we would rather have him at 12 and have Cipriani starting at 10, so that between the two of them, there's great opportunities to create magic.
Yes.
Nice. I don't disagree with anything you've said. I think
have we answered? I'm not sure if we've answered to the extent that this.
We don't know who he is either. So, we'll tell you what. That's what we've got so far.
Please get back in touch.
Assuming that you're still listening, get in touch. Remind us who you are. Remind us specifically about your question. And if we haven't covered it, we will have another crack at it next time.
Yeah, and butcher it then as well.
Yeah, probably. Okay, well, look, you've been giving away little hints at what your team looks like throughout the episode. You're clearly itching to get on with this. So why don't you crack on and talk to us about your team and how it differs from mine. Mine, of course, if everyone remembers, was perhaps a little bit more aimed at what I suspect we'll see. Whereas I believe, Dan, you've gone for a bit more of what you would like to see. Yeah.
I've gone for a bit more what I'd like to see, and I want to start on this. And this isn't a great way to start. I don't know how bought into the team I am, but I have thought about it quite a lot. And this is the team I'd like to see. And there'll be a lot of people who disagree with this, but this is how I want to see it.
Johnny Wilkinson's retired.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Hang on. Let me just change that. Okay. Front row. I want Joe Marler and Carl Sinclair as the props. Mm-hmm. And I want Luke Cowan-Dickey as the starting hooker.
Ah, okay.
And second row, I want Joe Launchbury, also captain, and Maro Itoje to start in the row.
Okay.
Back row at 6, I want Don Armand. At 7, I want Tom Curry, and at 8, I want Billy.
Yeah.
Now I'll talk you through my forward subs. So I've got Marla, Cowan-Dickey, Sinclair, Launchbury, Itoje, Armand, Curry, Vanapola.
Yep.
My subs, front row subs, I've got Mako, and Harry Williams as the props, and I've actually got Dylan Hartley as my sub hooker. Now, the reason for that is if he came on, I would also probably give him the captain's armband. But I think Dylan Hartley can be an impact player. I think he can come on and raise a level of aggression, a level of want. But I actually think Dylan Hartley can still be a good impact player.
You know how you said at the beginning loads of people would probably disagree with you?
Yeah.
There's at least one.
I knew for a fact there would be. And
fair enough, but I like it. That was the point of doing this, rather than just kind of agreeing with each other. Interesting. Dylan Hartley is an impact finisher. Okay.
I think he can be. And the reason I've gone Cowan-Dickey is I think he's the form hooker at the moment.
Fair enough.
In England. So I've got, my subs, I've got Mako, Hartley and Harry Williams. Courtney Lords to sub in the row.
Yeah.
And for back row, I've got Sam Simmons as my sub because I think he can cover.
You can, yeah.
I think he can cover. So
I think I did the same thing, didn't I? I think I had Simmons as my cover, and I think I had the same 3, just not in that order in the second row.
No, but in the second row you had them, but you had Tojo on the bench. On the back row, I think where you different, you had Brad Shields instead of Don Armand.
Yeah, but I had Simmons on the bench. I mean,
yes, I think so.
Again, because I think he can cover 8 and he can play flanker, so there's flexibility there rather than what Eddie seemed to have been doing out in South Africa, having an 8 and a flanker on the bench, which just loses you one position that you don't really need cover for. I personally think.
Worst case scenario, you've also got Tojo and Laws who can cover back row.
Yeah, absolutely.
Worst case scenario. So they're my forwards. My half backs, I've gone DC and DC. So I'm actually starting with Danny Kerr and Danny Cipriani.
DC squared.
Yeah. Oh, nice.
Thanks.
Now, just because I don't think Ben Youngs, I don't think had the best tour. I've got Ben Youngs on the bench as my reserve scrum half. Danny Kerr and Danny Cipriani, I think they'll. I don't know. I thought that through, and I just thought that might work.
You like
quite
DC?
Well.
You like DC squared, didn't you?
I do like DC squared. I do like that a lot. But I think Cipriani needs to be our starting 10 at the moment. I think he adds something we don't get. My centres, I've gone same as you. I've gone Farrell and Tuilagi. Because I just think...
You have to.
So my thinking behind this is Farrell just has that game. We need Farrell involved. And I think because with Danny Cipriani, he is such a threat in himself that people can't really afford to twos up on Manu. And if Manu's running
or if they do, you just that's where you have Farrell with that ability to go, oh, you're drifting in on Manu, ball goes wide, Johnny May or whoever you're going to select has an open run in.
Or you've got DC, who's going to run through the gap himself. If the defence is so wide on them, Danny Cipriani will take on the defence himself and get through. So that's
what I mean is if you've got people doubling up, or certainly man on man marking Cipriani, doubling up on Manu, either Cipriani can look to ship the ball wide, or he can just he can get it wide to Farrell, who also has that ability to look up and go, people are closing in, and to be fair, also has the ability to go for a gap. So I like it. You've got 2 playmakers who are also attacking threats.
Yeah,
with a sort of power broker on the outside.
I really like that. And on my wings, which I've got the absolute raw gas of Johnny May, who I think is our best winger in England at the moment. And on the other wing, I've got Chris Ashton. I think he's the try scorer. I think at the moment he's sniffing out tries for fun.
The cheeky so-and-so.
Yeah, he is. So I have got Chris Ashton on my other wing. And do you know who I've got at fullback?
I'm going to go with Daly, but...
No, I've got none of what was mentioned. I've got Alex Good.
Oh, you have?
I have gone with
I
Alex Good.
don't
I thought
hate
this
that.
one through,
Okay, go on.
but I just felt. So I think the way we worded it was against New Zealand. I think Alex Good is such a quality player. I think he's got the solidity of Brown, maybe not quite as strong, but I think he is still very solid defensively under the high ball.
And out kind of classic fullback
I think he
strengths.
adds something to attack that we're missing. I don't buy into this too many playmakers, people.
Yeah.
But I have got him. And then on my bench from the backs, like I say, I've got Ben Youngs. And then I've got Elliot Daly and Jack Nell. Now, Elliot Daly, it seems ridiculous not to start a player of his quality, but the reason I've got him on the bench is imagine the impact someone like him coming on. And I think he can come on in the centres, he can come on in the wing, he can come on fullback.
Yeah.
I just think having the versatility of him on the bench for now offers something that's pretty scary to the other teams. And my other bench, Jack Nell, because he's just awesome.
It's interesting. So Anthony Watson, Jonathan Joseph, no looking. Who else is
Anthony Watts, yeah, and JJ. Don't get me wrong, they're thereabouts. So's the likes of the Tio.
Yeah, Tio.
They're all thereabouts, and that can change quickly. Anthony Watson, I think, has been a bit unfortunate because Anthony Watson may well be missing most of next season. Have you heard that?
I have not. Talk to me about it.
Well, no, his injury apparently is
just worse.
It's prolonged, so he could well be out at least until the new year.
Oh, fair enough.
But that's not
okay. Well, if that's the case, then that's a nice. You got a nice excuse for that one because obviously he's unavailable.
But and Anthony Watson at some point, I wouldn't even dream of leaving out of the team. But the way people are playing at the moment, Johnny May has to start on a wing, and Chris Ashton, I just think his try scoring. Now, like we said before, the thing is so many of these places are up for grab. But whoever starts a Premiership season flying, I think it's got a very good chance.
Yeah, I mean, I guess the key thing in terms of looking at your team is going to be: is Eddie open to Don Armand? Is Eddie open to Alex Good?
Nope.
We don't know what's going on. Is he open? We think he's open to Manu, but he didn't take him to South Africa despite him being fit. So what's his thinking there?
I think he's open to Manu.
He has openly said in the past that Manu Tuilagi is a guy that can change a game against New Zealand, and he can. And ultimately, that's what England need to be able to do come the World Cup is beat New Zealand.
Yeah,
ideally by the autumn.
Yes.
So yeah, I would imagine he'll want him involved, but it's therefore a bit of unless he literally was like the guy gets injured too much, I'm saving him for the game against New Zealand in the autumn, which would be weird, but fair enough.
I think that and Mike Brown misses out, which is actually he had a great tour of South Africa. It's a bit unfortunate.
He did, but he had a great tour of South Africa on the wing.
Yeah.
Were we ever selecting him on the wing by choice? Were we ever selecting him on the wing?
We certainly weren't before that. But even now, I still think we've got better wingers.
Yeah, he had a good game in all aspects other than where pace was required. And for me, that's a fundamental problem if you're going to play wing at international level.
I think that first try, I think it was the first try in the first test when he was strong. I think Jack Knowles scores that try as well.
Oh, I think what you mean the one where he ran it in?
But no. The one where he bounced off a couple of their players. He really did show strength.
Oh, okay, I see what you mean. Yeah, but that had nothing to do with pace.
I think Jack Knowles scores that. I don't think Watson probably doesn't finish that, but I think Jack Knowles does.
Yeah, quite possibly. There's a Good.
No, but I don't think a Good will be on the wing.
This is also
and
true.
I believe he prefers Alex Good.
Does a Daly.
Does a Daly? I don't know. Maybe.
I think a Daly might.
Yeah,
he's quite a strong runner too. We know a man who does, but that's now we're getting silly because
I feel wrong leaving Elliot Daly out for starting.
Does Chris Ashton finish that try?
Chris Ashton seems to finish tries for fun. No, I don't think so.
He likes to run a try in more than.
I don't think he. Yeah, but that's the point. I think Chris Ashton he's like a dog seeking a treat. He's He's always there. I think more so than any other wing in England at the moment. But I think
Does he remind you of Johnny May? Because that's kind of the way he seems to come across now as well.
They are both pretty dumb. No, I'm kidding.
Are they quite similar players? Not that that's necessarily a bad thing, given the way that Johnny May was playing in South Africa. But yeah, I mean, I agree. I've never
thought about that. I've never thought about that. Maybe to an extent. I wouldn't say they're very similar, but there's similar parts of their games.
Yeah. Well, it'll be very interesting, to see whether, like you say, we're going to need to see. I don't think Ashton will be at the meeting at the weekend, but we'll need to see how he's performing for Sale.
Do you know who's going on that tour? On that camp?
No, I don't.
Cool.
Apart from what I read about old Dylan.
Dylan Hartley. Yeah.
Okay. But I'm sure we'll find out over the weekend, and we can bring it up in our next episode, because at this stage, I think we probably want to be saying, letting these fine people get on with their days.
Yes.
We've been keeping them busy for nearly an hour.
I enjoyed that.
Yeah. So, guys, there you go. There's Dan's side for you. Obviously, pretty different to the one that I predicted / chose a couple of weeks ago. As we said last time round, let us know what you think. Let us know if you would do things differently. Let us know how you do things differently. And if you want us to discuss anything in particular, you probably need to send us about 8 emails just to make sure we don't lose them amongst all of the stuff we're getting. But let us know what you want us to talk about. Otherwise, you'll get stuck with whatever it is we choose to talk about. So keep listening, guys. Keep your reviews coming. It's great to be able to read them out at the beginning of every episode. So we really appreciate those. And share the love. You can obviously get in touch with us on Twitter and Facebook at England Rugby Pod, or you can email us englandrugbypod@gmail.com. Chat to you next time.
Thanks a lot, guys.